I don't know, just reset. But it's Tuesday, March 10th. Yeah, I'm in Boulder, Colorado. Why am I in Boulder, Colorado, you ask? Yeah, that's where the vibes have taken me. Um, Gonna see Josh later. We had our second meeting today for IYKYK. If you know, you know, this DAO primitive governance stack enabling fundraising and different things. Like, for me to put it all into words right now would be kind of a quite the undertaking. It'd be a lot of effort. But the meeting was dope. I was glad Pablo came, Arikia, Brad, um, Natalie, Timothy did an excellent job. I got to really hear from Brad and Arikia what their thoughts were. Really nice to hear Timothy talk about, right, this is governing a protocol that is underpinning, right, media production in different ways and allowing for, like, generative a space for generative, I guess, incentive and alignment and agreement or coordination. I don't really know what the best words are to use it, but I'm honestly only getting more excited about it, getting to talk to Pablo and hear about how he might want to use it for publishing things, or getting to speak to Brad and Enrique about what their reservations or interests might be, what draws them in, what gives them pause. I think it was dope. Brad got to ask some really good questions, which I was happy about. And I know he missed part of last week, so it made sense that he had questions, and that it was nice to be able to see him get those answered. And I was really glad that he took time to ask them, because I know like Timothy speaks at like a very technical level, and which is dope. I think it's honestly excellent to have someone that can think at that level, right, and like go into that space of abstraction, but then to still be able to have it land in terms. I think it was nice and gave me some clarity that the best place to ask is like, would people use this? And really working with Brad this week, I'm excited to like create language which explains what the opportunity is, right, and have Brad kind of help us frame, what attracts him, and how do we frame the opportunity or the value prop in a way that speaks to people and helps them get like, oh wow, this is why I would use this. And also getting to think more about, like, Timothy's watched me put off governance before Mr. Swarthy had her, and he's making sure I embrace governance from day one right now, thinking about, like, if I were to put We the Media or Let's Talk About ETH, this podcast, onto there, what would we be having community members do? Like, what would they get to do? How to distribute a token? Talking about an airdrop on either Base, Optimism, or Sepolia. I'm like, okay, like, let's experiment. Let's have fun. Like, let's airdrop some tokens for sure, and let's start to wonder, like, what decisions do we want to make together. And excited about this Poid Pixar didn't happen thing. I think it's a dope kind of tool, and I haven't really seen it before. And I think honestly, I just appreciate how much enthusiasm Kenny's been putting into me making these videos, and it's cool to see other people coming out of the woodwork to post some videos. So I'm just excited about this, I guess, opportunity to engage community while still doing things that feel authentic to me and not really having to worry about, like, am I doing this right? And I think I want to give people the space to make choices in, like, the DAO, but I want what I do to be separate from their choices in some capacity, right? Like, I want to not feel like I'm giving away my own agency to create something, which is kind of how I felt at times in the past, but instead creating a space for us to, I guess, navigate those boundaries reasonably. Like, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Is this like chalk in your back pocket for the dog?
No, it's actually treats and
Okay.
baggies.
Okay, I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. You're a special dog. I was like, chalk on the walk, but yeah. So I'm kind of excited to meet with Zal and Brian tomorrow. Maybe I'll invite Kenny too, to honestly kind of speculate on, like, how can we, like, have the community input into prompts, and how can we use the Discord, or I don't really want to use Discord. How can we use, like, a Farcaster channel or a Discord as a way to kind of enable governance, like, that leverages tokens, or use the Farcaster channel to enable governance? Like, people can go on, like, the Builder site or Nouns DAO or Blank Space, but I kind of want it to be, like, I want it to be super smooth, right? Like, people put up content, they shoot videos, we think about how those videos pertain to the community, the brand, the questions we're asking. How do we create a flow of that empowers us to sense make collectively, while giving people more input into the inquiries that we go on? And, like, I don't know, something that stood out to me before was, like, if we have money, people in the community can say what kind of stuff we want to empower with more resources. And so, like, I just want people to get out and start posting content and, like, I guess, building presence in the community by, like, showcasing their voice and their approach. And I think that it's fun because it is practice, right? I think your 100th interview is going to be very different than your first interview. Your comfort level, your clarity, your own perspective, and how you want to approach, defining your perspective or even highlighting somebody else's. And so I think it's cool. I'm out to do, ideally I want to do 100 interviews before I leave here in Denver. So we'll see if I hit that goal. I think right now I'm at about like 20 or something like that, maybe 19, 20. That was last week. So I'm thinking like do a few here in Boulder before I leave. Try and do like, I don't know, go out for a day and try and do like 25, 30, and really just knock out big chunks that way. As opposed to trying to disperse it in the evenings when I'm more free. It's been kind of a drag to do that, to be honest. I think it'd be dope to just go out in Denver for a whole day and just be chatting to people. And it's cool driving out here to Boulder. It's my first time driving out here. Shout out Caleb for letting me drive his truck, the big F-150. But I'm excited to kind of think about like how does the community inform the kinds of questions that we ask, the kind of incentives that we generate, and like the kind of like what are the kind of decisions we want to make together. I appreciate Swarthy Hatter making me think about that stuff from day one and think about how do I keep people engaged and create a ritual, right, which is actually participatory in a meaningful way and not like a performative way. And yeah, I'm just kind of excited to have it be like a part of what we the media does. Like the community has this thing they can play with and co-create with, right? But I kind of want it to almost be like the community, and what the community does is like something that we as independent creators in the community can almost have like a back and forth with. How do we create like a discursive relationship between ourselves as independent creators and like this entity which is like an emergent creation of us collectively? And how do we have it be like it's always an ongoing back and forth between the collective and the individuals, through content and through incentives and through right decision making, but not in a way that like says, here community, come be involved in my thing in like a way I don't like, but more like, what is a way that I can invite the community into what I am doing, and how do I start to think about those questions and like get those questions are important, and also like make it fun and even expansive. Like how does it put us on a different path, right, than if we weren't in that conversation in the first place? I don't know. It's just some thoughts. But yeah, trying to do more building in public, I guess. You all have been seeing me running around doing these interviews. I feel like it's just cool to put myself out there and be trying to do this man on the street shit, because it's definitely not what I'm historically comfortable with. And Josh is going to walk around with me later tonight and record me walking around asking some questions, so I'm kind of excited about that. And yeah, just feeling good, appreciating where I'm at and getting to slow down here in Denver and Boulder and Colorado, right, in general, without my car. Shout out to the car, RIP. But just appreciating that I get to slow down and start to ask these questions and appreciate the journey. But I'm so excited about like these interviews and like thinking about how I can be how can I aggregate people who are game to do this kind of stuff and aggregate sentiment through doing it, and start to have us ask questions and push the public inquiry and expand a knowledge graph per se, right, that reflects the perspectives of different people in different positions, like, socially, etc., status-wise, money-wise, all these different things, right, ethnically, like in terms of our lineages, like how the ways we see the world are so, many. And I've always kind of had an interest in how do I start to create a perspective on where we're all collectively at, given that we're all like individually in such different circumstances, that might be similar and have similar qualities, right, or components, or even the same components in some capacity, but like, the differentiation is always small and large and on a spectrum in all the different domains and all the different ways. So I'm excited to start thinking about how this can just be like a way for the world to start to see itself differently. How can we have this kind of content almost create a mirror that wouldn't exist if we weren't doing it? And I guess it's kind of what like AI inquiry input is all doing. Like we're all putting our billion thoughts, questions into that shit. But like, what's a public facing, narrative, right? That's like truly reflective of where we're at, and not just reflective of the messages which are funded to reach us. But how can we have videos from places that don't even have power, come online through a Starlink on chain, and, we can see and know what people actually think and feel and how they see what's going on, and not be relying on people who have a stake in us not doing that. But we'll see how it all unfolds. But I'm just excited about the energy and the space that we're in, and about IYKYK, and just getting to be with Brad and Arikia and hear their perspectives on things, and just like not taking for granted, like I should ask for help, I should ask questions, I should be as appreciative as possible. These people are right here, right now. And that counts for Swarthy as well. Just getting to think about if I were to build a DAO or anything like that ever again, right? And I didn't really build a DAO with a media right the first time. It's not a DAO. But there was a vision of a DAO which is yet to be realized, where there's a community of people who own their economy, and the incentives and the decision-making power and the opportunities to leverage those network effects are widespread and used in a multitude of ways, and from community banking to funding public goods to, leveraging for reach of media and content and narrative and owning narrative and funding narrative, and narrative is a public good and news and information is a public good, but I'm excited to just kind of dial back to, how do we empower people to help us all stay on the same page more. So it's been cool walking around Denver and trying to figure that shit out. But I'm gonna go eat something. Shout out Isaac for buying me dinner. Appreciate you, love you, bro. Thanks for watching my new podcast. Check out the first episode of We Them Niggas with Isaac Kelly. I told Tim, I had to have the white Jew guy on my first episode of We Them Niggas, and I had to have the Bitcoin Maxi on my first episode of Let's Talk ETH. If it's not a little bit contrarian, it's not me. So, peace everybody, peace and love.